This episode is brought to you by Till the End of the Line podcast. Find them on YouTube. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and with DL in the middle of moving across the pond, I am delighted this week to be joined by a couple of connoisseurs of nerd culture and just fantastic podcasters, with hilarious episodes on Bad Boys Ride or Die, Deadpool and Wolverine, and a classically brilliant collaboration with Dresden of the pod Reeks on X-Men 97. It's Juan and Kike from Till the End of the Line podcast. How are you both?
What's up, brother? What's up?
How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Amazing. Fantastic to see you. Thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it very much.
Every time I see you guys and every time I watch your podcast, I look at that set and I'm just overwhelmed with how freaking cool it is.
Thank you. Yeah, for any of your listeners, because I know you're audio-based podcast, right? So for any listeners that want to check it out, either head to our IG or our YouTube and you can see the set that he's talking about. Yeah.
I'm going to link all that stuff in the episode
Sweetness.
description. I want everyone to go and check you guys out. That's the coolest background. Yeah, you must have put so much time and effort into that. Do you want to describe it for the listeners?
Oh, yeah. So we've got a full wall behind us with our logo as giant as we could make it.
Yep.
Just right in between me and Kike. And then we've got a shelf full of just wasted money on Funko Pops. Yeah. And then some of a few of Kike's here existing of like just comic nerd memorabilia. He's got like,
I love it.
You know, some Iron Man, Captain America framed stuff, and
you got the gauntlet there too.
Yeah, he's got the gauntlet. I've got a bow for no reason. Just hanging on the wall.
Hawkeye's bow.
Hawkeye.
Is Hawkeye your favorite Avenger?
I don't know about favorite Avenger, but I will say he's my favorite like non-superheroes Avenger.
Okay.
Like superpowers, sorry. Yeah. Superpowered Avenger.
Yeah.
Because he's up there with a stick and a string.
Above Daredevil?
He kind of has powers though. Like
he has heightened sense.
He's got heightened sentence and like I would say like
his agility
is next level, like almost Black Widow-esque, like on that level.
I mean, well, he can sense. His senses are so heightened that he can block and defect Spider-Man.
Right.
Like he's almost on par with his spider sense.
So you can't do that without superpower.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
If that were the case, every blind person would be daredeviling out here. You know what I mean? Like,
I was going to say that. So I grew up, my dad loves Daredevil, and I literally grew up thinking that all blind people had these heightened senses. I was like, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah, and you're like, Dad, how do I get blind? Like, I got to get on that. Yeah.
Find me a chemical plant, Dad. I need to get blinded.
Anything with like that nuclear symbol, you're like, I got to get my hands on that.
Well, to add more to the room, if you can see can you see these little VVs right here?
They're probably like scratches for the camera.
Yeah. So it's my cousin, one of my closest friends and cousin. He's the one that drew this. He's a local artist here in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
He sells some paintings here and there.
We've actually had him on. He's on our Christmas special and our villains episode.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want, I'll put his Instagram in the description so everyone can go and check out his work too. Because for anyone who can't see this or hasn't checked out our Instagram podcast Assemble, you'll know that this is such a cool background. Guys, tell me a little bit about your podcast. Tell me a little bit more. I want to know all about it. Like, what were your inspirations? Like, what made you want to start a podcast?
Well, I mean, ever since, a bit of our history is I married his childhood friend. They grew up next door to each other.
Friend and neighbor.
Yeah, they grew up
literally next to my house.
Yeah. From childhood.
Nice.
And then when she introduced me to this guy, we just immediately like kind of sparked just over nerd shit. So like anything nerd, we would just like sit there talk constantly about it. And I was like, it was kind of like Thor and Captain Marvel, where he's like, I like this one. You know what I mean? Like that was me and him. For sure.
But minus the challenge.
Yeah, we weren't staring each other down. We were just like, you like that? I do too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah. You know, you ever seen Step Brothers?
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So me and him, we would constantly just nerd out, you know, over the phone, and like we'd hang up and it'd be like 40-minute phone call. We're just like, oh, okay. And then we started getting into like this age where like podcasting was just the mainstreaming, you know what I mean? And
absolutely, yeah.
I was starting to get more into podcasting, and then I don't know what sparked the conversation, but one day I was like, dude, I've always wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah, we're sitting in my old dining room.
Yeah, and he was like, dude, so do I. I was like, should we do this? And then like that's where like the seed was planted, and then like past that day we brought it up again, and we were like, dude, let's do it.
I love it. I love that.
What do we need to make this happen?
Yeah. So we our name came from a brainstorming session. I'm just trying to put some ideas together for the podcast, and I posted like a little Instagram boomerang, and I was like putting Marvel quotes until the end of the line popped up, and then I posted that, and I go, oh, look, check this out, and he's like, and we looked at each other immediatly. That's what we're in the podcast.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen that he put it, and I'm like, dude, what about till the end of the line podcast? He goes, done. There was no debating.
No,
there was like, well, is there anything else? We're like, no, that's it.
Clicked.
Yeah, we're like, done.
It clicked. It was so cool.
I love that for you guys.
It's also because of like, it's not just like, oh, it's a cool line from Marvel. It's like what that represents. Like it's Bucky and telling Cap, like, dude, I'm with you till the end of the line. It's like, and that's what we kind of wanted this podcast to resemble. It's like me and him, we're here till the end. You know what I mean?
And that sentiment holds true for what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about X-Men 97, which has so many tones and themes. We've talked about a lot of movies on the podcast recently, and some of them do not have any themes to them. I can tell you that right now. But I'm genuinely so excited to talk about this. You guys did a phenomenal episode with Reeves and Addy of Film Addicts podcast. I love that episode. It's actually the one that got me into it, and then I went backwards and started listening to more. But I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you both to just ingratiate you a little bit with our listeners. And I started to think about what's a good question to ask a new friend of the show to bring on the podcast. I was like, could be something super simple, like, what's your desert island movie? But I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to ask something super random. So what is both of your third favorite dinosaur?
Third favorite Oh, shit. That's a good one. Because nobody ever asks for third favorite. It's usually favorite.
Exactly.
I get pterodactyl.
Nice. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Is that because it's like resembles a Pokemon?
No, because of the Pink Ranger.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Love it. Love it. All right, we're going Power Rangers. Hold on. No, it's kidding. Because I know my number one.
But
you didn't ask for number one.
What's your number one? Just while you're thinking.
It's got to be like Velociraptor.
Same.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Third favorite, I'm going to go Triceratops. Let's do it.
Oh.
I've always liked them.
Okay, what's your second then? I don't know what they're actually called. I just call them long necks because of Land Before Time.
Diplodocus. That's my third favorite. You nailed it.
What is it?
Bronchiosaurus?
Diplodocus. The big guy.
What is it?
What's the Bronchiosaurus?
The big long necks?
Oh, maybe they're two of the similar type. I love the Diplodocus guy.
Yeah.
Bronchiosaurus is a good one, though. That's a really cool one. I like that a lot.
Bro, I thought that's what the long necks were called.
Me too. I have no idea. I mean, I'm guessing. I really didn't know. I'm just pretending I do.
I think we're realizing that none of us know that much about dinosaurs. Perfect. That's what I wanted to find out on this podcast.
You gotta ask the 7-year-old me who was like deep into that stuff. You know what I mean?
That's why I asked it. And I got to ask just one more question, which is, what's your best X-Men impression? Like, which do you do best?
Absolutely none.
As we're talking about X-Men 97, I've got to know. Like, you've got to. I mean, is it a little bit of a Gambit going out there? Is it a bit of Rogue? Is it a bit of a...
I feel like everybody's done that too much because of Channing Tatum.
I know, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to make a name of it.
Because I've never done that accent before. Like, nobody's ever done Gambit until Channing Tatum did it. So it's like... The most I ever did was Mona Meeting.
Remy from X-Men Origins, like Wolverine Origins, like it
didn't have one.
Of course, yeah, he did.
Which is why I didn't like him at that Gambit. I didn't like that Gambit.
I think he looked the part, but he did not act the part.
All right, yeah, I guess,
or the voice. But no,
I love bringing up the odd Charles Xavier from here and there. It's like ever since I saw that Logan movie, I'm like, Logan, you've got to help me, Logan.
I think my favorite impression to do is probably Storm. He's like, may the winds, and I like you just so thespian and over exaggerating, like monologuing. She's the hero version of every villain monologuing. Because before she gets going, she's just full on like the bad guys are just standing there like, is she gonna hit me or is she just gonna go off on this tangent? Like, what's happening?
It's like the Power Rangers when they're morphing and they gotta wait like the bad guys just are there waiting for 5 minutes. Like, are these guys ever gonna?
Yeah. There was a meme on that where they took the Rangers morphing from the movie, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie,
and the guy disappeared.
Yeah, but then like all the ooze guys or whatever,
just left.
They just left, and then when they when they're done, they landed like, where'd they go? And it was like, which was what the funniest part of that is they didn't edit anything out. They legitimately went and hid.
Yeah.
And then the Rangers are like, where are they? Seriously.
So I do have it's not an X-Men phrase. It's actually not from the show or the comics. It's actually from the Marvel vs. Capcom. So when I was younger, I used to play the Marvel vs. Capcom, and Wolverine was one of my OG people to play with. And he used to say this barrage crap. Like, he would scream and like... So I used to like fight with my cousins, pillow fights and shit like that. And I used to scream that for no reason.
They're like,
brilliant.
Yeah, so like he would do, his claws would come out and he like do this like fury like swiping.
yeah, it's his Hadouken. Like,
Yeah,
that's what he did.
yeah.
He did the barrage or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys are too hilarious.
I love those questions, dude.
I want you guys to quickly, before I move on, to you guys to let the listeners know where they can find you on Instagram and YouTube, etc.
Yeah, so on YouTube, it's a bit wordy, but it's Till the End of the Line podcast on YouTube, and the same name on Instagram, but I think it's 128 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's Till the End of the Line 128.
Yes,
on Gmail. I
And
believe.
you'll know these guys by the awesome logo that's in the background. You literally can't miss it. It's the infinity.
Thank you, man. I mean, your logo isn't too shabby. I mean, I gotta ask you.
We appreciate that.
Because I know you just did a rebrand, right? So
We did.
I gotta ask. Podcast Assemble, phenomenal name, by the way. How did you
Appreciate
come
that.
up with that one? How did you come up with that?
It was not dissimilar to you guys. We were just spitballing in the apartment. I think the listeners have heard this 1,000 times, but we decided in COVID that we were a bit like, hey, we need like a geeky outlet. Like, we need something creative.
Yeah.
We always used to sit in the pub and talk about movies, and we both loved Marvel. And, you know, generally, like, it sort of expanded from there. It started with superheroes, but expanded from that. And so we were both like, what do we want to call this? And I had all these different random names, like Golden Age podcasts, and they were all kind of comic related. And then we sat down and we watched Avengers Assemble, and we were both like, hell yeah, that's what we're going to call it.
Right at that moment after Cap said it, you're like, you know what?
We knew it. We knew it in that moment.
That podcast in there. Yeah, I like it. It's awesome.
We appreciate that.
And then when you have more than one, which we hope to do one day, like get us and Film Addicts with you, that'll literally be a podcast assemble. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's going to be like a 3-hour episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, we'd love you if you could give both Juan and Kike from Till the End of the Line podcast 5-star, or a comment or a like on their YouTube videos. Find them there immediately on all the places they just mentioned. If you could give us a 5-star on your podcast capture choice as well, we'd love that. Helps with algorithm stuff we don't understand. There will also be time codes in the display shared by Mr. Matthew Bliss of Blissery.fm every week. We love him. Stick around till the end of the episode to get his details if you want him as part of your podcasting team. Gents, what have you been up to? Have you seen any cool movies that you would recommend for our listeners?
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen anything after this, but Beetlejuice just dropped
great.
last
Tell
week.
me about that.
Phenomenal.
Is it?
We just did an episode. We reviewed it. It's not up yet. It will be probably by the time your listeners are listening to this. But it was phenomenal, man. It was a childhood favorite of ours. Yeah, growing up.
I love that film.
I was telling him, I think as a kid, I have photo evidence of me as Beetlejuice as a kid. Halloween time.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
you got to post on the Instagram. You know that, right?
If I can find it, but you're talking about the age of actual tangible photos, so it's like
images.
To track those down, I can't just go into the cloud. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
It was great, man. I mean, my expectations for the movie were met, and it was
right.
It was as good as the first one.
Oh, great! That's awesome.
The first one was better. No, I meant like it wasn't worse than the first one.
No. You know
what I mean? So like, it wasn't better than the first one by all means.
Yeah,
I don't think anything can top that.
I think the best thing about the first one was all of the weird Tim Burton-ness about it.
Yeah.
The fact that he used a lot of practical effects to bring a lot of it to life. Do they keep that, or have they moved into his weird CGI phase?
No, dude. There was. I would beg to say there's no CGI in it. There's at minimal. I think the same CGI that they use in this one was probably used back then. It may have just been a bit more clearer.
Yeah,
because
that's awesome.
I mean, spoilers, but the sandworm is in this one also.
Yeah,
so that same like claim is it okay? Yeah. So the same like claymation style of that sandworm is still there. It just look a little clearer.
Yeah.
So it turns into Dune halfway through.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
For real.
Yeah. I think that's probably where Doom got its inspiration is Beetlejuice. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely not. But
You don't know.
the novel was written way before.
If Harry Potter, if J.K. Rowling's can take from Star Wars and make Harry Potter, I think it's safe to say that Beetlejuice could inspire some.
Did you gents ever get to see the 1984 version of Dune? Did you ever watch that with Kyle MacLachlan and Patrick Stewart?
The 84 version? No. I didn't even know that Dune was a movie before. And then
Oh, really? It's a David Lynch movie.
it came out, and then they're like, oh, they're redoing that. I'm like, redoing it from what? And then I'm like, oh, shit, there's an 80s? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Which,
There's a bunch of media around Dune. There's like a TV show from like the early 2000s. There's like a ton. The 80s version is so weird. We actually did an episode on it a long, long time ago. It's like phenomenally weird. It's definitely worth a watch.
I gotta check that out. I didn't know about the show. I knew about the movie. Never watched it. Still don't know if I'm gonna. But I
the 80s one, yeah.
yeah. But the show
Just for the
cool.
campness, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Well, I did listen to your episode with Film Addicts on Dune, and I was crying laughing at that, man. You guys, that was a great episode.
Got to give a shout out to the Film Addicts guys. Go away and
Excellent,
check out
guys.
the crossover with Podcast Assemble Film Addicts. That's possibly the funnest the most I've laughed ever, literally, while doing a podcast. Like it was like we were two high children, just like rolling around.
I was right there with you. I was dying laughing. It was so funny. I even had to show, have my wife listen to that part of just Addie trying to describe the sandworm, and even she was like dying laughing. So yeah, it was good stuff. Yeah,
I genuinely really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So the thing about Beetlejuice, the thing that I remember about the original was, I'm not going to say it 3 times in case he appears.
Please
the thing I
don't.
remember about the original one was that it was and this is actually going to be a theme of this podcast, was that it was a weirdly horny movie, like super weirdly horny, like in like lots of odd ways. Like Beetlejuice himself was like oddly horny around like the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Does the new one have that element as well?
I mean, now that you point it out, I get that. I was just
trust me to point that out.
a kid, so the horniness wasn't coming in. Yeah.
And this one, there's another person that's so her powers. Do you mind if I spoil a little bit for you?
Yeah,
I don't care. It's
they're
fine.
very
Spoilers for Beetlejuice.
Okay, so
yeah.
Okay.
There's this lady. Her powers are soul sucking.
Is that the Monica Bellucci character?
Yes. They literally say she sucks your soul. And when that happened, I'm watching this movie with my wife, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
immediate side eye.
it's one of those where like two adults just stare at each other. Sorry, you're
Brilliant.
audio only. I just turned to my wife and I looked at her like with that like suggestive like wink, like you know what I mean? But so now that you say that, yeah, I might
That's why I had
rewatch this Beetlejuice over again and be like, there it is.
Adult jokes, so that the adult sexual humor is throughout the second one, just how the first one was.
I always thought
I would say
Beetlejuice
it's
as a
even
horny guy.
little bit more suggestive in this one.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think just the day and age, the way we talk now is a lot more suggestive than 20 years ago. So
Probably. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, because the douchebag boyfriend was like super. Like that, he was weird, but he was very like
he was simping hard.
simping so hard.
Yeah. So bad. But dude, definitely check that out. Yeah.
Awesome. It's if that's a recommendation, I'll definitely go away and check that out.
Mhm.
We've actually me and the fiance have been talking about going to the cinema this weekend, and you know what? I was actually just listening back to your episode, as I mentioned on X-Men 97 with Film Addicts podcast, and you guys were talking about the Danger Room at one point and how people were going away and sneaking off into there to have some
Rogue and
naughty
Magneto
time
had
together.
Yeah.
People in particular.
Rogue and Magneto had it for like what 3-4 hours back to back.
Yeah.
Their head. I mean, you tell us. The Danger Room can make any scenario. You think there's no fucking going on in Danger Room? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's
dude.
funny you say that. So we actually watched this last week. So it's my no visa week too. If you guys don't know about this, me and my fiance have this rule where every other weekend, the other one gets a no veto. So what it means is one weekend she can watch whatever she wants, and I can't say no.
Yeah.
And next weekend I get to watch whatever I want, and she can't say no.
I like that.
So and it just means that you get to see other things, stuff you might not have seen before, and then they get to watch things they haven't experienced either. I got to watch the whole of the MCU during COVID, and by the end of it, she enjoyed it. So I was like,
nice.
I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that.
That's
But
a win.
You recruited another nerd to the kingdom. I love it.
definitely. She actually wants to go and see Deadpool and Wolverine. We just haven't had time.
Hell yeah, dude.
But
Hell
But the thing we watched was Edge of Tomorrow. Now, you know that movie.
The Tom Cruise,
regions
right?
called Live, Die, Repeat with Tom Cruise. And
Yeah.
yeah. And it's funny we talk about the danger room scene because there's a scene, and you might remember this from the trailer, where Emily Blunt is doing some like yoga press, but she's in like a danger room and there's all these weird things flying around that she like practices against to try and stop, the weird alien things trying to attack her. And I was like, if young people are watching that, there's going to be some serious kinks there after this as well.
Yeah.
Because she's a beautiful woman.
Yeah, absolutely is. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The danger room can... All kinds of fetishes are probably born in that room. Yeah, dude. I'm serious.
That's where Madeline Pryor got pregnant.
Probably. Yeah, I wonder.
Hey, don't jump too far ahead. Don't jump too far ahead. Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about it. They live in a mansion. I would doubt that there's privacy, like that much privacy.
And they're all super young as well. Like, and they're all must be super horny. They're all ripped. They're all beautiful. It's like, of course everyone's going to be in there all the time.
Dude, yeah, everybody's banging everybody in that mansion.
That's weird.
Look, Edge of Tomorrow, man, I really love that movie. It's a film that I've seen like a ton of times. I don't know if it's something you guys have seen a lot, but it's one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. And that's
okay.
He's got a great filmography. It's obviously from a comic book series. I think it's a manga actually, but it's fantastically created. I love the twists on the characters.
Yeah,
he's awesome. He's like this marketing dude who's in way over his head, but then accidentally becomes like the chosen one.
Yeah,
it's really well done.
Yeah, I saw it as like a futuristic Groundhog's Day kind of movie.
Yes,
yeah, so
yes, absolutely.
I was like, all right, I'm with it. I saw it. I wouldn't say I gravitated to it as much as maybe you did, but. I didn't dislike the film. I thought it was an interesting idea of like replaying basically a time loop, like getting stuck and figuring out different ways to get out of a situation, getting the opportunity to like.
Wait, did you say getting suck or getting stuck? Because we've been there before.
Well, probably. I mean, probably both. I'm sure at one time they're like, listen, we can't beat this. Should we just screw it before we die again? They're like, yeah, you know what I mean? just take advantage of this missed one and try again.
So they didn't need birth control then?
Probably. Oh, no, because they're still continuing. It's not like her body gets reset.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it as that
70th
I'm glad you guys have done
70th attempt.
I'm glad you've done that for me now.
A 7-month belly, just like fighting off aliens. You know what I mean?
Gents, is there anything else you'd recommend? Any other things you've watched in this last week to recommend the listeners?
Not in the last week.
Speak No Evil, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
We're gonna see it tonight.
Okay.
I really want to see that, so you'll have to hit us back up and let us know how good that is.
Yes, I will.
Professor X's going crazy.
I will tell a movie that you can just wait till it gets released on streaming.
Sure.
So we went to go see that new movie with Brandy.
Brandy has a new movie?
Yeah. Damn, it's a horror movie.
As in the singer Brandy?
Yeah, the singer Brandy.
I just know that she was in that new so I have a daughter and she likes the kids of the evil people of the Descendants.
Yes. Oh, she is in
Brandy's in Descendants. That's the last thing I've seen her in.
Oh yeah,
she had another movie.
Cinderella's mom or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the movie is called Front Room.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's a horror?
It is a thriller horror movie. Rated R.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out what I watched. to be completely honest. Like there's this creepy old lady, and probably like the creepiest old lady. She was the mother-in-law. I told my partner, I'm like, babe, I would help you kill my mother if my mother was that creepy. That lady is crazy. Like she was the most annoying mother-in-law.
Sir, this is on record.
Yeah.
There's a lawsuit. You're screwed.
If my mom saw that,
we'll bleep some of this out for you. Don't worry about it.
Allegedly.
But if your mother-in-law turns up dead, then we've got to suspect immediately.
Exactly.
No, it was just.
Was she creepier than the old woman in like Drag Me to Hell? Is she like that kind of creepy? What's she?
No, not that creepy. Not that. So Drag Me to Hell is a little bit more scary. This girl's just weird and creepy. It's just like
sus creepy, like okay,
and super manipulative to her son, and like it's just like it was weird. And some of the things that happened, and I'm just like, ew. It's fucking nasty.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was so weird.
All right.
I don't recommend.
Some of them
even have to watch it.
Some of the stuff this guy watches and tells me, like, dude, you should check that out. I'm like, I don't know if I want that in my brain. You know what I mean? Like,
you can give a non-recommendation if you really want to. There's no pressure for it to be a recommendation.
Don't watch this. You'll never see it.
I sometimes say don't watch this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do you guys ever watch Game of Thrones?
My wife did. I did not.
I didn't finish it. Yeah, same thing. My girl was really into it. She's watching House of Dragons right now. Well, it just finished, right?
Yeah.
The season or whatever.
Yes, the second season. So the guys who produced the first original show, Benioff and Wise, they just did a new Netflix show. It's called like The Three Body Problem, and it's based on this really famous book.
I've heard about
I thought
this.
it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to TL, my usual co-host, and I was like, do not watch this. It's following the same trajectory. It's bad.
Some guys at work were telling me about it. It's kind of a crazy concept.
What is
you said it didn't work?
Yes. It's called Three Body Problem. The idea is that it's set across a couple of timelines, which I actually kind of liked. The problem is that we found this alien race which is coming towards the Earth.
Yeah.
And we're sort of trying to organize ourselves for when they get here so they don't destroy us. But there's people who are sympathizers. There are people who are trying to help them. And then we basically elected a few people to be like the war commissioners. There's 3 of them. We can't. It's a really fucking weird. I'm not going to lie to you. It's an odd show. And the problem I had with it was that the whole first season, all 10 episodes, or whatever it was basically a setup for the second season. And I was sitting there at the end of I was sitting there after 10 hours being like, guys, give me something, anything. Give me something.
So it was all about for the next season, but not establishing anything about the first. That's dumb. That's weird.
And the acting sucked as well. It had Wong in it, and I love Wong. He's amazing, and I'm not going to say that out loud again. But But in this show, it just didn't work. He had this odd British accent. I was like, bro, you gotta change that.
All right.
Interesting.
So sorry to go back. Do you recommend the Brandy movie?
No. Absolutely not.
He does not.
No, do not watch it.
You're just saying that's what you watched recently.
Yeah, I'm glad that because like you guys don't have AMC out there, right?
The theaters?
I don't
cinema?
believe so, no.
No.
So we have an A-list subscription. So
doesn't the A stand for American?
Oh, I had no idea. I didn't even know what AMC stands for.
American Movie Cinema, isn't it?
Is that what it stands for? Wow, look at that.
If I know that, fucking money in the
I learn something new every day.
I thought what's her name even says it in the
Nicole Kidman.
I thought she says it.
Oh, I think you're right. Oh my god, I've seen that freaking intro millions of times.
This guy is at the theater weekly, sir, and we're gonna move past this.
The reason why I was explaining that is because we have that they have like this monthly program where it's like $25, $26 a month, and you can see 3 movies a week.
Nice.
So we're like, okay,
and no additional
movie
charge
came out. Let's go see this. So that's why we saw Front Room.
I rate that. That's a lot of movies. That's a lot of time investment, especially if you've got little ones. That would take a lot of your life.
Because of that program, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine 3 times in 5 days?
5 days, yeah.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
That's fire. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Guys, let's move on, shall we? I'm excited to get to talk about X-Men 97 with you because I know you have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this show.
How much time do we have?
Guys, if there's anything you recommend that we haven't talked about, please hit us up. You can find us at Podcast Assemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Send us memes, send us news, send us reviews. We'll always call you out when you do. Gents, do you want to preface our main topic this week?
It's the main topic theme.
Yeah, so X-Men 97
it's here.
Comes back, is direct continuance from the 90s series.
Yeah. Picks up right where it left off.
Picks up right after. I would imagine days after the finale, right?
Yeah,
I was probably.
Is it months? Okay.
Months, yeah, because the whole Charles Xavier leaving.
Right.
And now he's walking.
Well, I thought time works differently in space, like, on different planets and stuff like that. But anyway, all right.
I didn't catch that.
Were you guys watching this as kids, like when this came out originally, the original animated show? Yeah, absolutely same. And the thing I loved about this was it kept that same vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It was definitely pleasing the kid in me as well as the adult. Like, so it was like a nice stroll down memory lane for the kid in me. But I don't know if the viewers know your age range, but I'm in my mid to late 30s. I'll be 38 in like 2 weeks.
Oof.
You are
34.
So this X-Men, the original series, was for us. So,
yeah, we grew up watching it.
Yeah. Yes, same. I'm similar age to you.
Okay, so we were their target demographic. So like every day after school, Saturday mornings, that's what we were all about. Yeah, for sure.
And we're going to talk about this. Like, it's evolved too. It's an incredibly horny show as well. So it's definitely evolved with its viewership.
I would say it was pretty horny back then with Rogue's curves and everything. So
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Did you guys manage to think of a stupid plot summary for this by any chance?
I did.
Oh, what?
The stupid plot summary. So what did I write down? Racism against mutants still exists. Magneto was right.
Oh, that's Very good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Mine's a little bit different, takes a little different direction. I've got Fuck, Marry, Kill, the TV show, where we're introduced to the most awful and worst genetic mutation possible. A short Canadian.
Oh, no. I like that one. That one's well done. Yeah. The Fuck, Marry, Kill just literally encapsulates the entire
whole show
storyline. Yeah.
I'm dead.
Yeah. That was fuck. That was great.
This is so cool. And I don't know if you guys know a lot about Bo DeMeo, who he basically produced the show. There's been a lot of controversy about him since. I'm not really across that, so I can't really talk to it. Do you guys know much about that?
Yeah, we actually did a lot of research on this just because we were heavily invested in this series, and we wanted to know, especially after seeing season 1 and how well it was done, we wanted to know what went wrong to where he's no longer part of the picture.
Sure.
Yeah. Apparently, it was difficult to work with because he was the showrunner. He was the head writer and showrunner.
Speculation, and this is this is what Disney released.
Yeah.
So they said that he was released due to almost sexual harassment, and very suggestive and inappropriate, not necessarily touching, but like suggestive, like by using certain photos. Again, he's denied these, but this is what Disney said.
Yes.
Because I don't know if you guys follow him on social media. He is very active and posting a lot of
I have heard
trying
that,
to debunk a lot of it. I enjoyed it. I see it. I've seen the sexualization of certain things throughout this season. And so I think there's some of it. There's some truth in there. But I just think that's just kind of was his personality. And I didn't mind it and him being a showrunner in the episodes that we got. I didn't have any problems with it. Now, if other people felt uncomfortable working with him, obviously I don't agree with that.
Yeah, us as fans, it's hard to talk to that because we're not in the office with him. But
absolutely,
there was also talks and rumors of him having an OnlyFans account, which
he does.
Obviously,
yes,
is a no for Disney.
All right,
absolutely. But I mean, we've had this before though. We've had an incredible director be fired by Disney for things that they've done in the past, and like James Gunn. So the question is this going to be a similar vibe where they just let it die for a little while and then they bring him back, in a couple of years?
It could be.
If it's a sexual harassment thing, then I'd probably not. But if it's just a case of the OnlyFans, cares?
Yeah.
Well, that was that's what people thought initially.
And that's what I was talking about. I'm like, guy, if it turns out that it is the fact that he has an OnlyFans account and people were like, we could work with him. He's an ass or whatever it is, but we could work with him.
Yeah.
And it is an OnlyFans. I'm like, who is Disney protecting? Because the kids aren't going to know that this man has an OnlyFans, and they shouldn't.
Right.
If the kids do, it's the parents. It's not the parents. Why are they on OnlyFans? You know what I'm saying? So, the adults, I don't give two shits that this man has an OnlyFans.
Yeah,
I don't care what he does. In the privacy of his own home. You know what I mean? But if he's putting out this kind of work, I mean, can we give him a pass?
And it's phenomenal. And I tell you one thing that really worked for me in this, and I like to start with what worked for me. It's that it really just throws you in to this world. If you haven't seen the earlier X-Men shows or know nothing about them, good luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're on your own for this. So it's it just picks up where it kind of left off, like you guys were talking about, and just ran with it. And I think some of the tones and themes they included, it's always been about inclusivity, discrimination.
Yeah.
I just think that they picked it up where they left and ran with it. That's just evolved,
Yeah. I think that's why it did so well. It's for the fans that were coming back to this series, we're right where I left off. Great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there were still tones to the show where if my son wanted to start with X-Men 97, he could have.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I could have just been hey, if you want to understand a little bit more about Magneto, go watch the original run. And then he could do that and then just have just a little bit more stuff filled in. But on its own, I think X-Men 97 just stands as both a bridge and a new platform.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And because they incorporated that hand-drawn animation style, and they actually brought back a lot of the original cast members.
Yes, I love that.
It makes so much sense. It's unfortunate they had to get some new voice actors, so the Cyclops and Magneto voice actors passed away.
Yeah.
Others they changed up to keep it fresh, but the rest they tried to keep as same as possible, and you can really feel that. And it's something that Disney did not fuck up for once, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. But because I don't know about you, but when I read comics and I'm reading Beast, I hear the actor. I hear those voices from the X-Men run. Rogue, Rogue will never have a different voice than me.
Rogue, definitely.
It's if I see her
absolutely.
voice, that Southern Belle like hits
Yeah.
in my ears. You know what I mean? So it's just like it was really special to go back and watch and then hear the same voice I was hearing when I was a kid.
Yeah, Rogue,
yeah.
Storm. Storm, I think the most for me.
Yeah.
Kind of, I was like, that's always been my Storm. Like when I read comics. Or, absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think Cyclops as well. Cyclops is such an interesting one because he's been done so dirty by like the movies and media, been seen as a bit of a cook almost, you know?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Whereas
that's
in
what
this,
we.
You're like, he's a bomb.
Yeah, that's what we talked about with this season. Is like, or with this series, is that we're like, dude, we finally got the correct Cyclops back. Like, he's a badass. He's a
Totally.
leader. He's not just simping for Jean Grey. Like the original 3 movies made him seem.
I mean, he is a little bit.
But he's
Just not the
like,
Jean Grey, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like he really filled that Cyclops of like, I'm a leader. This is my X-Men. I'm a badass.
Totally.
I mean, that first scene when he drops down, everybody else gets either a flying person to help them down,
That's what I was gonna say.
or he just uses side beam to land.
Love that. Love that.
I'm like, what?
I think the child in me was just like, hell yeah, this is what I'd signed up for.
Yeah, and something I learned too is that Bo actually revealed that he got the idea from that shot when his mom reminded him that when he was a kid, he was doing that with his action figures. He made
Oh, that's
land.
so cool.
He goes, you're right, I did do that, and then he wrote it in. So this man's been X-Menning since he was a
God
kid.
damn, that's cool. And imagine having that creativity as a youth. That's awesome.
Seriously,
I love that.
Yeah, and being able to do something with it in your adulthood. Yeah.
We're going to jump around here. We're not sticking to like any timeline. We're just going to talk about the whole thing just as it comes to us.
Okay.
So I think one of the things that really jumped out to me, and we talked about it, was that, there's a lot of horniness in this, but especially with Professor X. Now, to me, like, my Professor X I grew up with was obviously this one, but like, you've got the Patrick Stewart, who's the OG, he's the classic, whereas in this, man's hooking up with bird people, like probably the one from Rick and Morty as well. He's like, there's a lot of suggestions about Magneto as well. I'm like, man's a freak.
Yeah, what was it? The last episode, I was like full on expecting Magneto and Charles to just make out. Is this happening?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, that's kind of been like the running theme that they just were
in love with each other, but never did anything about it. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think it's like never been established, but it's always suggested that they've been bi.
Interesting.
Both of them.
Really?
That's
Didn't
how
know
I've
that.
always read it. A couple of my friends, one of my old baristas that I worked with, he also had mentioned it. I'm like, you saw that too, but this was before the episode came out. This is when I used to work for Starbucks back in the day. And we both were just nerds, and we were nerding out about random stuff one day. So when we would work together, especially when we open, we'd have like an hour before we open.
Yeah, when you're setting up. Yeah.
So we're brewing coffee, we're getting all that stuff ready, and then we're chatting up all the time. And that was something that came up. I was like, I thought.
So you guys are just randomly talking about bi cartoon characters?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, I mean, okay. But he brought it up because of his sexuality.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Inclusivity of conversation, guys. Come on, it's got to be. You've got to keep it.
But then I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And then we were talking about, like, what was it?
I always just saw it as brotherly love.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it started like that. Because
but then that episode was like, well, maybe not, maybe stepbrothers. I don't know what's going on here. Like,
they weren't the only two that were highlighted. Like, for me, I saw like, and I think even Addie said so. Like, there's something happening with Logan and Morph.
Yeah,
like they were.
Oh yeah,
there was a little suggestion that they were kind of. Well, Morph is obviously in love with Logan.
Clear,
and I think Logan was like, okay, I'm with it.
I mean, he's like a polyamorous character, right? He is what he is.
Right.
I like that they bring that element into it too. And I think one thing that the older sort of, we're going to call them cartoons, it was an animated series. The animated series used to do was it would sort of like hint at a lot of these things like progressively, but not really put it in your face. Whereas I feel like this was just like, hell yeah, these are bi characters.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to do what they're going to do.
Well,
What I did appreciate in this one is like, if they did in the past, it was always women on women. This is the first time we've seen men emphasize on it.
Well,
right. It was
90s was very like against showing the male side of homosexuality. And
right.
It was explain how this makes sense. And it's probably just a male mind, but like they saw that as like cringe, but yet women was hot. It's like, dude,
right.
that's
Because it's
hypocritical.
cool, dude.
Yeah. But like, just to speak on that, like in the 90s, it was very like hush hush to have like sexuality
Totally.
on TV.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's why they had to kind of like beat around the bush a lot with the cartoons and stuff.
And no one
Well,
told
especially-
Pity that.
Was that an innuendo?
A little bit. Yeah, try to sneak it in there. But no, but especially like with animated or even movies, or no, not movies, because
Yeah,
movies you
absolutely.
can have R rating, but like TV series
Yeah.
had a lot of like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Three's Company. It's an old American television show. So that show had a running bit where it was a guy with two female roommates, and it was very 80s in the fact where like he would be on one side of the wall and then they would be on the other side saying sexual like innuendo things, but that's not at all what they're talking about. And then he busts through the door
Right.
like, "Hey, what's going on?" Oh, you guys are just, making the bed or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
stuff like
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like very 90s. And like,
Yeah.
so like what you were talking about was like, we were getting that when he was on, like with the bird people where she's like, you can bark later in the bedroom. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
she's got Xavier on chains up in that room, but all right.
I would imagine Charles Xavier was great with the ladies. You've seen the movie.
I mean, the dude can make him see whatever that he wants.
he can also read their minds. It's basically a Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah. What women want. I remember that. I remember that.
Because I mean, how many women are like embarrassed to say what they really want? He don't have to worry about that. He's
No.
just like, oh, that's what I got you right now.
Yeah, in her mind, she's like, a little less, and he's like, say less.
Yeah, for sure. They even played with that with the Woman movie, where Taraji P. Henson got those powers.
Oh, I forgot.
And then she blew this guy's mind in bed because he's like, you were doing things that I wanted you to do without me even saying anything. And she's just like, yeah. But I would agree with you. It was definitely more prevalent in this 97 series just because I
Sure.
feel like, number one, it's streaming. So you can get away with a little bit more on streaming.
Yes.
And number two is just the new age of like how we speak. And
Well, it's a much more mature audience.
Yeah,
and
Exactly.
I like that
More
about
mature,
this.
and it's an exclusive take now. Inclusive, not
Sorry.
exclusive. Inclusive. Like
Mm.
this
Yes.
is the norm now. This
Yeah.
is how things are. More, and they don't have to hide anymore. And I love it. I love it.
I love that too. And on that note, like the more mature themes, like death as well was a huge theme within this too. Like death
Yeah.
of characters, like death just as part of life. And I really like that. The only thing that sort of just irked me a little bit about that was that some of the bigger grandiose story arcs, and I mean, a lot of things are capable of this, but like
Mhm.
they did rush a few of them. So like the
Yeah.
Genosha story arc, I felt was rushed right through just to get to that, that big Gambit death. I was a bit like, I really
To
wanted
me, that was like a season finale type stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That could have, you wanted to sit with that as well.
Yeah.
Right. I totally agree with that. And not even that. I feel like they didn't let you sit with it either. Like, yes, Rogue's character went off and she went rogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
As is her name.
Uh-huh.
I like that they did that with her, but the rest, everyone sort of kind of carried on a little bit and just moved on to the next thing. I was a bit like, dude, like half of your species just got
Just
wiped out. Like,
murdered,
what
yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. That I think I would love to see that in live action. For sure. My God, that'd be crazy to see on the screen. Like, it'd be the first time in an MCU movie outside of Wanda murdering all of those sorcerers and Multiverse of Madness. Like,
Mhm.
that would be the most death we would have seen.
Well, we saw Magneto go off in live action in the was it the Dark Phoenix? Was it Dark Phoenix or what's the one?
Does
Oh,
that
the-
count though?
yeah,
when
does
he's
that
going
count?
off on the aliens, and I mean, he decimated.
that was probably one of the best
What's up with
scenes.
Magneto and trains? He did that on that one, and then
Oh,
in this one,
yeah.
he's using it like a whip and going after that big ass sentinel.
love-
Like he's got a
That's
thing for
true.
I love
trains.
those old X-Men movies. They love like a train scene and they love running through the woods. They're the two things that are all the way through those
Yeah,
movies.
you're
It's so
right
true.
about that. Yeah, for sure. They love the wood, and yeah, I think it's because it's a literal metal tube, so Magneto could just have a shit ton of
Yes.
fun with
That's
that.
true.
That makes so much sense. We actually just did the 2005 and 7 Fantastic Four movies. So
Mm.
friend of the show Angus from the Sequel Suck podcast came on to talk about that super sucky sequel.
I saw
And they
that.
actually
Yeah.
used the same woods that they used for the X-Men movies for the Rise of the Silver Surfer
No,
movie. I
how
was
did
like,
he? How do you
my
spot
God,
that?
What?
it's IMDb trivia, dude. You gotta
Oh,
stick on
I
this.
okay, yeah. Because I'm like, if he spotted that, he's got a hell of an eye. Yeah,
As if I spotted it.
he's like, yeah, that tree was at the same degree angle as this. Yeah,
That tree's the same one.
I did not realize.
There were 72 leaves on that branch, and now on this, yeah, just like what? I did have a question for you. We didn't ask this at the top, but do you have a favorite X-Men?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think you guys put that out on your Instagram when you did the episode. I don't know. After this, it could be Magneto.
All right, that's a solid favorite.
Yeah, I've always been a big Rogue fan, always.
Okay.
But in the show and in the comics, Rogue's powers effectively come from her stealing Captain Marvel's powers. I don't know if you guys are across that.
Yeah,
it's a super nerdy, really random niche point of it. But
no, we talked about that. Yeah,
right. I think as soon as I realized that, I was like, oh, she's not that cool. Her powers aren't actually that. So I think it could be Magneto. And I think that, going back to the horniness, the Magneto and Rogue whole relationship in this kind of is like a bedrock, a foundation for a lot of the stuff that happens, like a lot of the anxiety between the different members of the team, the falling outs, her going rogue. That's kind of like a bedrock and part of the world building that's really ingrained in this. So Magneto is just so pivotal.
That's awesome. No, that's a great favorite. He's definitely, I think he's at the top of a lot of people's list.
Is he an X-Man though? Can we call him an X-Man?
He is now, technically. I mean, he took over, so
it's true.
Categorized as an X-Men now, so that counts. For any of you, the new listeners that we have from your audience, mine is Gambit. Mine always has been Gambit.
Nice.
And when I tell you, season 5 crushed me,
episode 5.
Or sorry, did I say season? Sorry, episode 5.
Episode 5.
Oh my God, I was.
He's coming back though, right? He's gonna come back.
Yeah, well. We got that teaser. We got that teaser at the end, especially with Apocalypse. He's going to be a horseman.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh, 100% he'll be a horseman. Yeah,
and I told him about that. I'm like, dude, that means Gambit's coming back. He goes, well, I don't know if you're going to like this Gambit. I'm like, fuck that. I'm Team Gambit, ride or die. If he goes after X-Men, I'm rooting for X-Men to die. Sorry. Gambit's I'm Team Gambit 100%. I'm just like, I don't follow the team. I follow Gambit. You know what I mean?
I should have screenshot. So after the day the episode dropped, he texts me. He's like, F this show.
Yeah.
I'm over this show.
I'm done.
I don't want to watch it anymore. Like, he was ready to throw in the towel.
Have we not had this podcast, I probably wouldn't have continued the season. Like, it would have been
right because
it'd have been months later for me to die down, and then I'd be like, maybe I'll check out the ending of the season. But I was pissed.
So are you both Gambit? Is Gambit both your favorite? Or
No.
I'm
Gambit.
Nightcrawler.
His is Nightcrawler, who's my second favorite.
I love that.
Yeah, he was my second
that.
favorite, which was funny enough that he would take Gambit's spot in the X-Men, or at least in the show.
Yeah,
his intro spot. He took over his intro spot. So but yeah,
I love that. I feel he's probably one of my favorites as well. Like, he was even done well in the movies, which was bloody hard because not many of those characters were consistently done well all the way through those movies.
Yeah.
And that's something I'll probably come back to in a little bit. But who do you think is going to come back for the second season? Who do you think's out? Do you think anyone new is going to pop in? The thing I really liked about this show was it brought some sort of B-list characters from the original show and really put them front and center. Cable, for example, he was in the original, but he wasn't, front and center. I forget who was the one with Storm the whole time. God, I've forgotten his name.
Forge.
Yeah.
Brought Forge up, was a huge part of the show. I really like that about this. Who do you think is going to come into the next season?
Yeah, Leech and the other, what was the ones that Magneto was saving?
From the Brotherhood, yeah.
Leech,
and I can't remember the other ones. Yeah.
I forgot the name that they gave them. But yeah. So as far as now, are you asking who do you think isn't dead that we think is coming back, or just characters? Do you think
both?
Okay, I still don't think. I don't know if Madeline Pryor's dead.
No, she's not.
I think she's coming back. We already said Gambit. As far as other characters that are coming back, I don't know if anybody is. I would say I would like to see some new characters come through. I would like to see Colossus season 2.
Nice.
We said Magic would be cool to see.
Yes.
Magic is something.
Juggernaut come back.
Yeah, Juggernaut. Yep. I would say a little bit more of the Brotherhood. I would like to see.
Okay.
Some of Magneto's people. Maybe he recruits them to the X-Men.
I'm a huge Scarlet Witch fan. That. So I love how it said off-world.
Yes.
At the end and the season finale on the wall.
Did you catch that? The board of where people are? Yeah, she's off-world. She's not. And then, we got a little silhouette of her and Quicksilver and his other daughter. What's her name?
Well, was it Quicksilver too?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, on the boat.
On the boat, yeah.
That's right.
What was what's his other daughter's name?
Polaris.
Polaris, yeah.
Nice.
So maybe any three of them would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Anybody
If
you?
Magneto's that important in the next season, how he was in the first season, they got to bring his children back for sure. That's why I think maybe
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
That's the natural progression, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go real rogue here. And it's a little bit in the consciousness, but like, I'd love to see a Deadpool in there. Like, if you imagine that fourth wall break, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
Well, we did. Yeah, I totally forgot about all the other members that we saw
Right.
fighting when Magneto cut the power.
Oh yeah.
We saw who's it? Spider-Man. We saw
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Daredevil.
true.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Cloak and Dagger.
The broader universe.
Cloak and
Well, I mean,
Dagger
we saw
was
Hulk in this as well. We also saw Captain
Oh,
America.
yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of cameos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Had to keep Kevin Feige happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a question that I asked him. Do you think this multiverse timeline that we're going through, the saga, do you think any of the 97 animated characters would make it into a movie? Like that character just now be live action?
Ooh. Yeah, that's hard. I don't know how you do that. That would be incredibly difficult to portray. Like, unless you were dubbing over the person. I can imagine it happening. Like, why not? Like, I can't imagine like a Roger Rabbit style, humans and cartoons next to each other on the screen. I can't imagine that type of anime. Can't see that happening in like live action. Personally, but unless they did like a Doctor Strange style where, he goes into a universe where it is this halfway through, like Multiverse of Madness, they smash into it.
Yeah, they kind of did it with Into the Spider-Verse, where we saw live action Donald Glover as
It's true.
Oh, that is true.
Prowler, and then we saw
And that worked really well.
we saw clips of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, Tobey's Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's
So they kind of did it, but I don't think it would work
Yeah.
a full movie. Like that, the little scene made it work, but yeah, because outside of Roger Rabbit, that's never
It'd be
really
tough to
done.
keep up with.
Yeah, it hasn't been done
Yeah.
again for probably good reason.
I know. I'd love it if the characterization of these came through. Like, you guys have obviously seen the latest Deadpool movie. I love when you went through all of the different variations of Wolverine, and like you had the little mini one. Like that, I could imagine that they just find someone who's kind of similar. Yeah, they find someone who's kind of similar.
That was amazing. That was amazing to see. Yeah. Have you said you hadn't seen it, right? You haven't seen Deadpool?
No, I have. My fiance hasn't seen it.
Oh, she has it. Okay, all right. What did you think of
Yeah.
that? Of that film?
Man, I loved it.
Wasn't
I
it
loved
amazing?
The whole thing, so good.
So well
I want
done.
to see it again to make sure it wasn't just fanboying. But like, I know you've seen it like 3 times. So,
You were
okay.
not. You absolutely were not. I seen it 3 times, and the third time I was still as excited as the first one.
Yeah, I agree.
It was like, so good.
I think the inclusion of Wesley Snipes was the one that really threw me. Like, I'd heard rumors about like the Elektra one, and all the other ones.
He was the biggest surprise. Yeah, for sure.
You'd obviously seen Daphne Keane on the red carpet, and then you see him, and you're like, holy shit!
Yeah,
that's my childhood.
I was the most excited to see Gambit, but the most surprised by Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, I agree.
yes,
For
yes.
2 reasons. Didn't expect Blade to be in the Void, number 1. Number 2, I didn't expect Wesley Snipes
Right.
to be in another film
Yes.
with Ryan Reynolds because of the
Yes.
whole dislike they had with each other on the Blade Trinity.
Quotation marks, dislike.
Rumors
Yeah.
now. It kind of seemed like that was
Yeah.
always just like
Yeah.
a rumor.
Yeah, because Ryan, not Ryan, but Wesley Snipes even alluded to that being a joke because he's like, with our relationship over the years,
Yeah.
if you don't like somebody, you don't have a relationship over the years. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, how often do they really bump into each other? Let's be honest. They probably
That's
text each
true.
other once every 10 years. Like,
Yeah,
they're not,
yeah,
they're not
yeah,
hanging
yeah,
out for
yeah,
beers
fair
on a
enough, fair
Friday
enough.
night, are
Yeah.
they?
I mean, enough to where he called up Wesley and asked him.
Yeah. Yeah, but it would have been like,
I mean, like, but saying that though, right? Sorry to interrupt. Saying that though, like, hypothetically, you get a call from Ryan Reynolds. What's Wesley Snipes done in the last like 20 years?
exactly.
You get a call from Ryan Reynolds who's saying, "We'll give you $3 million to spend 2 to 3 hours on set for a
Yeah.
few days." You'd be like,
Come
"Hell
and
yeah,
shoot
I'll
for
take
2
2 to
days.
3 million."
We'll drop-
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, who in their right
Yeah.
mind would have denied that opportunity had you had played like because everyone knows how important Wesley.
All right.
Snipes
I mean,
is.
I could say at the other end, if you didn't have a good relationship, Ryan Reynolds isn't going to call Wesley Snipes. I'll put it that way.
Okay,
If
true.
they did, if he did have
Possibly.
a shit time filming with him
Possibly.
and didn't like filming with him, he's not going to just for the sake of. They would have brought another iconic. They would have had Toby in there. Oh no, because that.
I mean, the rumor was it was going to be Ben Affleck's Daredevil. That was the original rumor, but apparently he's just done with like superhero stuff. He's like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think what
he was
they
a
did
little
to him as
occupied with
Batman.
Jennifer
Nah.
Lopez. So.
I think what they did to him as Batman, probably he's like, I'm annoyed. I'm done.
Burnt.
I mean, it makes
Burnt
sense.
the poor guy. And he's great as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But look, just getting back to X-Men 97 for a minute, I know we've talked about how horny it was a lot. Wait, maybe too much. I didn't realize how catty they all were. They're all so bitchy, like, all the time. And it's great because they all live together, so you'd expect there to be, like, friction and everyone's rubbing each other up the wrong way. And I love that about this. It really brought it to the forefront.
I like that they still kept true to the Scott and Logan kind of like battling
100%.
for the girl, and
Yeah. That wasn't at the forefront as much, though. I don't know.
No.
Like, I don't know if you thought about this. They kind of sidelined Wolverine a little bit,
Right.
which
A
I
little
wasn't
bit.
unhappy with.
for sure. But I just like that line where Scott was like, all right, Lo, he goes, oh, daddy's home. Like, like that kind of stuff, that kind of like cattiness.
Yeah.
I ate that shit up all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah.
And the one-liners off the back of it, too, are just fire. You know what I mean? Like, like, there are one-liners in terms of, like, the My X-Men to Me stuff, but, like, the little quips.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's not, your MCU quips where they're all just, like, pointing out something that's happening on screen.
No, but like Storm, give him the forecast. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Hell
Right.
yeah.
Oh, my God.
I love that shit. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so good.
Amazing stuff.
It's so good. Tell me more about then your like reaction to the action in this. Like, what did you think? Because like the action's extended over like certain episodes.
Yeah,
but there isn't necessarily action every episode, which I kind of like.
No.
Which kind of heightens those action scenes a little bit.
Definitely.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I say whoever's writing the action for this, sign them to a live action deal. I want to see that shit on the silver screen.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, we got first episode, like I mentioned before, that Psybeam landing, and then
we got the animanium being lit up by freaking
by kinetic energy. Oh, dude, I was floored, man. I was like, hell yeah!
I liked we got the adamantium getting ripped out of Logan as well. That was fire.
That was badass, and that was really cool to see. And I don't know if you caught it or not. You probably did, but they did it very comic book-esque, where it wasn't continuous shot. It was freeze frame, like boom, boom. So it's like you were seeing it out of the comic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
My other favorite was
the scene itself was almost identical to the comic.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they just like put the page in front of the camera. I was like, hey, read this.
There's clearly a lot of love for the comic books and like all of these stories.
I think that's what made this series also so great, is that they kept it so true. But my other favorite action scene was the Nightcrawler Wolverine team up.
Ooh. Yeah,
I was eating well on that
fire.
scene. That when he was just in like changing from dimension to dimension, coming back, helping Logan out, stabbing one, taking that one away. I was like, this is so fucking well done.
And Wolverine's free fall from when they were flying, and he was just going straight in the air. They had no care about.
Yeah.
It gave me that Captain America vibes where he jumped out of the helicarrier.
Definitely.
Without the, he's like, did he have a parachute? He's like,
I got more of that from when Cyclops was falling.
Okay. I did too.
Because he just went.
I did too.
You know what I mean? But yeah,
I kind of like the action as well when they broke up the little teams. You know, when they had like the little like three of them had to go and stop Mr. Sinister.
Oh, the family team up.
I really like that. Yeah. We didn't really talk about the bad guy yet. So the bad guy kind of flips between in this. Like I actually thought it was going to be Mr. Sinister. All the
whole
way
time,
through.
Yeah.
I kind of like they flipped it, and it was a bit of a. I mean, I personally have never really known Bastion's character from like any of the comics I've read or any of the shows.
Okay, same.
So is that something you guys are across? Like,
for me, I
knew.
Yeah, I knew who he was.
Yeah.
I saw how it. Yeah, again, I agreed. I thought it was going to be Mr. Sinister too. And then as things started happening, I started pointing out certain things to Juan. I was like, "Oh shit, it's Nomad." Like we would like so.
That's what I thought we were going to see too, and we didn't.
Right.
Sorry, not Nomad. Who's the one?
Nimrod. Sorry,
Nimrod. Thank you.
Not Nomad. Yeah,
Nimrod.
Nimrod, and then so like the other like sentient robot, the futuristic version of him, and that's how he goes back in the past. So, when I saw a lot of that stuff, he kept skipping through the intro and like and all the things that kept like popping up, and I'm like, dude, watch.
I got used to the day and age of like just skipping intro.
You telling me you skipped that theme song?
Not the theme song, the recap part.
But
like
it was the intro too, where they would change like different scenes that would pop up in between the X-Men popping up.
Right.
So
it's very Rick and Morty of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Rick and Morty some of the crew from Rick and Morty helped write this or put this together, right? There's some people that
Right.
who was it? I don't even. I'm not.
I know a few of them were on the Doctor Strange writing team.
I didn't know that.
I think
I didn't know
maybe
that.
the WandaVision
Yeah.
show as well.
Interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got the chops. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They have the good stuff there.
Yeah. Rick and Morty is still going strong. I haven't watched
Yeah, I love that show.
the last 2 seasons, but I got to catch up. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a little bit behind, but I used to watch it a lot.
So which was your favorite like big action set piece? There was a few. We've talked about the Fall of Genosha. I think probably we can call like Magneto going like full Omega level was one of them as well. You know, where he shut down all the Sentinels. Then there's the one where he's where they're on the spaceship and they're doing the 3 different teams.
Yeah.
And there's obviously the big final battle. But which is your guys' favorite?
As much as it pains me, it's the Genosha scene.
Yeah.
It went so hard.
That's the most heart-wrenching.
Rogue. Yeah, and not only, that's a great point, because it's not only action for action's sake, it's got a heart and emotion in it.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
seeing like everything building up, boom, 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 you're used to seeing X-Men come out on top and taking out the bad guy. But when Gambit just gets stuck and with that beam or whatever it is,
Yeah. Like,
I was just like, I was in awe. My mouth was dropped to the ground, and I'm just like,
absolutely. My jaw was on the floor. I was like,
yeah, it was. I was in full denial. Like it's just a flesh wound. It's just a flesh wound. He's fine. He's fine. He's gonna be okay. And then he lights it up. But that scene, I have yet to see action done well or better than that.
Yeah,
in animated, and I would probably say in live action as well. That's just so well done.
Okay.
Because I mean,
Kike?
Endgame comes to mind, but Endgame was so like over here, like
Fair point.
you know what I mean? So
Fair
like,
point. Okay.
Yes.
as far as like a one set action sequence, it was so fucking well done.
Yeah.
I feel like Endgame was just trying to give everyone screen time, whereas it was a collaborative team.
Yeah.
Like coming together to work, and it was failing, which made it so much more interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about you?
Kike, what about yourself?
Man, there was
Can't take that one because that one's mine. No, just kidding.
no. I mean, that's definitely up there. One of my to piggyback off of what he said, like nothing, no live action or animated hasn't given that much emotion. I would say WandaVision for me gave me equal emotion when
Nice.
when she burst out and creates the hex in WandaVision.
But is that an action sequence though?
No, it's not. But I'm
Okay.
saying the emotion that came.
Oh
from
yeah,
that.
but no, I was just
For sure.
talking about that action sequence.
Correct.
Wasn't
I
action
agree.
for action's sake. It had some emotion in it. That's what tipped the scale for me. That made it
The
great.
combo of the 1-2 punch for both, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't think of one at the moment, and I'm sure probably on the way home it's gonna pop up in my mind. And I'm like,
you wouldn't say that first one when they take out that the first big Sentinel? Yeah,
no, not for me.
that wasn't okay.
See, I really like that one. For me, definitely in the MCU, like the smaller scale stuff is like way more impactful to me. So like, you guys talk a lot about Captain America: Civil War, or even probably more so like the Winter Soldier. Those are the better movies for me when you can bring it down to a ground level. It's like,
Yeah.
I can understand that. It's two guys who are like very incredibly skilled and a similar level. I'm not saying I'm a similar level. I'm saying I understand that. I just said I get that. I can, but when it's
not on a grand scale,
yeah. When it's like, I don't know, like not Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel or whatever, it's like, I can't understand a billion universes exploding at once. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Mhm.
So like when you see it and it's the team fighting together, they're taking down that one big Sentinel, and they're like, and that's one thing we haven't talked about. It's like the ebb and flow of them as a team working so well together.
Yeah.
That works so well, and it looks cool as hell as well.
I think that's why
Agreed.
Spider-Man does so well, because it's a
Yes.
kid doing ground level stuff, attacking guys that don't have a city at hostage, that they just have a building that they're doing stuff in, and
Okay.
it's not on a grand scale. It's him.
Okay.
a building they're doing stuff in.
Yeah,
What
you
are
know
they
what I mean.
doing in that building?
Spider-Man doesn't have to deal with like Sokovia dropping like the Avengers do.
Right.
He has to deal with.
Totally.
They got this hostage in an apartment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like very
Okay.
Yeah.
centered, ground level. But like what you said, Captain America's Winter Soldier has some of the best action sequences. Just like when he's escaping the compound and he's just on his bike and he takes out that helicarrier, or not helicarrier, the jet, the Quinjet.
Quinjet, yeah.
Yeah, dude, and it's just like
I-
it's good shit. It's so good.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't think the MCU does like de-escalation particularly well. So like they'll do one of these huge events, and then the next movie has to go bigger, and it has to go harder, and it has to go stronger. And I'm just like, give me something smaller. Like, I really hope, like, ironically, the Fantastic Four movie is kind of small in scale, at least for the first one. So it just brings it back in, because you can't just keep getting bigger. Like, at what point is the universe or the multiverse, you know? Like, when is that too much?
Yeah, I feel like that's what their plan was with Disney Plus shows. Yeah. But yet they kind of hit the mark, because they're like, well, let's make this big too. But that's not what Disney Plus shouldn't be. That Disney Plus should be the ground level stuff. Your Defenders, your Daredevil, your
absolutely
that type stuff.
That's the formula I thought they were going to use those for.
I honestly think that was the plan. Last time I talked to Feige, that's what he told me. So, you know what I mean? Like, no, I think that's what it was. And then that's also why I think a lot of the fanboys and everything are getting mad at the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're used to everything going big and bold.
Oh, yeah.
Like with your shows that they brought it down. Like, I think that's why Secret Invasion didn't do well. They were expecting this to be a big blowout thing.
I just think that was bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree with you.
But no, if you really look, if fans were prepped right, like, listen, this isn't going to be some big old thing that you're expecting because Fury's in it.
But they tried at the end. They tried at the end with the big fight between the two guys, like the Skrulls. I was like, nah, you've to keep it small, keep it.
This show is supposed to be like an espionage type show.
And it was released at the weirdest time.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really plug into nothing.
Just wasn't.
Yeah. It missed because I think a lot. Yeah.
But then it's been completely ignored ever since as well. So like, it's not even doesn't have a place in the pantheon. Yeah, I'm absolutely agreeing with you. I guess the final question before we move on from talking about X-Men 97, unfortunately, is what do you think the MCU should take from this show when they're creating their own versions of the X-Men?
The way of storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
having a team fully formed already and you kind of just thrown into it?
No.
I would say the way that they went about telling because if you go from episode 1 to 10, right? 10 episodes?
Yeah.
10, yeah.
So if you go from 1 to 10, it tells a full story throughout, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they do that and just adapt it to this Disney Plus stuff and continue it that way, or even in the movies,
not a bad idea.
Even in the movies, you're gonna win, and you're gonna shut up the fanboys that are talking Marvel isn't what it used to be, blah blah bullshit, all that bullshit. But I think if you take that story, that's why we're so happy with what Bodemayo did.
Yeah,
is because he did this and he did it correctly.
Yeah,
we did what we think is correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, whatever he did worked.
Yeah, I mean, he got Emmy nods, so like you know what I mean. Like you don't get Emmy nominated for if you did a.
Well, not skipping too far ahead. The critical reception kind of tells you it must have done something right. So
yeah, agreed. But like, it definitely was a team. So
yeah, absolutely.
Where I have hope is because I was very worried when he was fired. I was like, man, I know at least season 2 is going to be done. Similar to this first season.
He's written 3 as well, I think.
Yeah, he was writing 3.
He was still a part of it.
But 2 was basically done
in the can.
By him too. So they're ready. That's going to be rolling out pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
So my worry was like, okay, after 2, they keep this up. What's going to happen with 3? But then I started thinking, like, there's no way Bodemayo he had the vision. He put that all together. But it was there's no way you can have this without a team.
That's what I pointed out to you. That's where I kind of like calmed his worry, because I'm like, well, it wasn't 100% him. He may have been steering the ship, but there was people in the engine room.
Yeah. Right. It's like, he quarterbacked the shit out of this.
Oh, he for sure did. But if you don't have a good, not to get too much into sports, but if you don't have a good offensive line blocking or wide receivers to carry that ball from the quarterback, you're going to fail. So it's just like
he totally kicked a slam dunk. I get sports references.
Yeah. That was such a touchdown goal. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So quick question then. Outside of like the stuff we've talked about, the diversity and inclusion on this, everyone having a pass. Like, what do you think of like the themes of this show, like all the way through that ran through? Like inclusion of diverse characteristics into life. We're talking about the government.
I thought it was great because it always, and I think, because Xavier's gone, they were able to tell the storyline and it hit a lot harder. The fact that like Magneto was right, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
that whole courtroom scene of like he went in willingly and he proved to them what he's been saying all along. Like when he takes that council up into space,
right,
and was like reading them the riot and was like, I tried doing things your way, I tried doing things Xavier's way,
scene.
but time and time again, I keep telling you guys what's what, and you guys don't believe me.
Yeah.
So like that theme, I was like, yes, it's about time we got this side of the story told.
Yes.
Because it's always pro Xavier, pro, oh, let's stop Magneto. But Magneto is not necessarily an evil guy. He's not necessarily the bad
Shades
guy.
of Grey. I love that about the show.
Yeah.
He had his times where he was definitely the main villain.
For sure.
But he's not. He's another character similar to like Doctor Doom. They're not. They be considered super villains?
Thanos,
Absolutely. Yeah, but half the time, like they're not wrong. Like in the villains episode that we did, that was something we talked about. Like the only difference between a villain and a hero is that the villain would do everything in their power to save that one person they love, and let millions of other people die. And then
a hero
would sacrifice sometimes one person to save the millions. That's really the only big difference.
That's
and
so true.
And a lot of the times, like they're fighting for the same thing. Just one person is looked more radical because they allowed other people that they don't care about.
Yeah, because we talked about that with Thanos. This is a prime example of that. He wasn't a bad guy because his end goal was to make worlds sustainable, like to make people go to bed with a full belly and to stop making overpopulation. I gotta say,
I gotta flip that though on you with the Thanos thing. Like, if he has all the power to wipe out half the people, but also has all the power to give everyone double the amount of sustainable energy, food, whatever it is, he certainly made a choice there, didn't he?
But here's the thing with that. That was the big argument.
Yeah.
But the same things would happen again.
They wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah, they would take it for granted.
Sure.
Wars would break out because people that have enough want more. It's like that wasn't the first thought that came into Thanos' head. He thought
I'm learning so much about you in this episode, Juan. It's fantastic. I love this. Guys, let's skip on then. Do you have what we like to do, which is 3 best and 3 worst? 3 reasons why you might want to watch this show and 3 reasons why you might want to skip it. It doesn't have to be 3.
Yeah.
It tends to be one or the other. Why don't we all do 1 best? That might help. What's the best thing for you about this show?
I love that it was one of the first time in the MCU that has existed.
Yeah.
Where like Iron Man and Tony have always been the focal points of every Avenger movie.
Mm-hmm.
This time, every team member, this wasn't a Wolverine movie with X-Men thrown in.
Yeah.
That's what every other movie was that Wolverine was in.
Yeah.
And this one was a full team inclusion, and I enjoyed that because it allowed me to get closer again to every single character.
Yeah, each episode highlighted a different member.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct,
for sure.
And it wasn't the Wolverine movie with a bunch of X-Men in it.
Yeah,
that's how all the other movies were.
Yeah,
because they knew Hugh Jackman
was. True.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah,
he is fantastic, but still.
Yeah, I would say the storytelling for me on this one, like as I mentioned it before, but it's just what sustained this whole season. I think it's like it made this season great. Like it wasn't just, oh cool, my X-Men are back. Like, oh, real stuff is happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're talking about great stuff right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And just it sort of just evolves from that. Mine is like the adult tones and themes of it that kind of really hold it together. It's grown up with its audience, and it almost is paying respect to you for watching it, like an adult watching like an animated show. Like, there's not much respect given to that these days, but I absolutely love that. Is there anything you would suggest maybe would turn someone away from watching this?
Yeah, my number 1, 2, and 3 is Gambit dies. Don't watch it for these 3 reasons. Gambit dies. Yeah. Oh, he dies. Yeah, that's right. He dies for sure.
I'm dead.
Yeah, it almost made me stop watching it. Like I was so pissed. Yeah.
God damn. You must have really hated that twist.
It's my favorite. I'll put it to you this way. I have probably hundreds of Funkos. He's the one X-Men I have. Yeah. He's the only X-Men I have.
Oh, you have Wolverine now.
No, now I have more. But before, he was the one and only X-Men that I ever had. So it's true. Like he's from day one, from the 90s episodes. He's been my favorite through and through. And just to see him die, it was heartbreaking, man. I was so pissed.
I'd love to have more Funkos. I just don't have room for them. This is a small apartment.
I have to stop. Can't buy anymore. I'm running out of room.
Yeah, seriously.
I've actually got a Funko of my favorite, like any superhero property for the last like 5 years, which is I got like a Peacemaker Funko.
Sweet.
I don't know if you guys watched that show.
Hell yeah, that show was phenomenal.
Is my absolute favorite.
Okay.
No, it was so well done. The intro of them dancing emotionless.
Watch
phenomenal.
it every time.
The first time I'm watching,
It's like this. I have to watch it and listen to it.
Yeah, the first time I watched, I'm like, what the hell am I watching? And then you couldn't skip it. James Gunn specifically said, do not allow the skip intro for the first episode. I want people to have to watch this. And then after that, you could skip it.
I think he made a thing that was like he wanted to make an intro that people wouldn't skip once they'd watched it.
Yeah.
And like, goddamn, man, I just love that song. Everything about it. Sorry, I completely off track there.
No, you're
Kike,
good. That's awesome. Yeah.
What's your worst?
Kike, your worst for this. Do you even have anything?
No.
I don't think
you can say nothing. That's totally fine.
Yeah, really nothing. You're losing out if you're not watching.
Yeah, I honestly, I mean, aside, all jokes aside, yeah, Gambit's death sucked, but it's still worth seeing because it carries the whole second half of the season.
Yeah,
totally. And mine's in the same vein. Mine, like, it's like it does speed through some of the really large, long form storytelling from the comics in like 1 or 2 episodes. That shouldn't stop you watching this, though.
For
this
real,
is, like,
yeah.
Way better
like I can't honestly say like you shouldn't watch it because of this. There's nothing in it that I'm like, oh, but they didn't do this well, or this wasn't done right, or nope. Just
wait to find a hole, man. Come on, Jesus.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think I have any worse for you. I mean, this is just a phenomenal show through and through.
Right. I agree.
Okay, we're going to do now a little bit of the critical reception. So first and foremost, I want to ask you both. You may already know this if you've looked at IMDb, but what do you guess the current IMDb score is out of 10?
Out of 10, like 8.3.
Okay. Kike?
I think it's at a 9.
Is it?
I think it's at a 9.
Ooh.
What is it?
It's 8.8. You're both very close.
Oh, I was in the correct range.
You're always there. All right. What do you suspect the Rotten Tomato score is? Now, this is a percentage, so out of 100.
Fuck Rotten Tomatoes.
The audience or the Rotten Tomato one?
Combined.
So the Rotten Tomato score, the audience score, I'm going to say is like 98%. The Rotten Tomato score, like fucking 79 or some bullshit.
In the 90s. I think both are in the 90s.
I hate Rotten Tomatoes. I really do.
It's 99%.
On what? On which end?
Both?
Both?
On both. Combined.
No,
the combined is
Rotten
99%.
Tomatoes gave it high, so it's shocking.
Yeah.
Yes. Love that. And finally, we do Letterboxd, which is effectively it's all user scores. So this is out of 5. What do you suspect the users thought
Out
about
of
this?
5? I'm going to go 5.
Yeah, 5.
Okay.
Is it not?
It's 4.5. Like that's really good for Letterboxd. That's like up there. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite that high before. So we're going to do your rating system now, I believe. So do you guys want to explain your rating system to the users?
Yeah. So our rating system, we like to call them the Stones ratings. So
Stone ratings, yeah.
For the listeners who haven't checked this out yet, our logo is of the Infinity Gauntlet with our name wrapped around it. Not because Kike and I are just huge fans of Thanos as a villain.
He's my favorite.
He's his favorite villain, and just what that gauntlet represents and stands for. So what we like to do is substitute those for stars. So it's going to be a 1 through 6 rating. Just your quick rundown of it. 1 is just terrible. Just don't even. It was you want that time back that you wasted watching it. 2 is it was bad, but like you're okay. You're not pissed that you watched it. 3 is neutral. Wasn't good. Wasn't bad. It's worth a watch. 4 was good. 5 great. 6 flat out amazing. Yeah. Best thing you would recommend to anybody who likes this genre. Yeah. Can't get better than that.
I'm getting an inkling of what you guys are going to say for this. I've got like a thought, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What do you say out of 6 stones?
It was 6 for him. Because Gambit died, I gave it a 5. I couldn't give it full 6. So you couldn't.
I think I'm going to give it a 5 as well. Yeah, like it is amazing and it's got all those things. I just think, and this isn't necessarily criticism. I think it's set up for the next season and the season after to just like I want there to be some wiggle room for the next ones to be better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I bring it back to storytelling. They did a great job of we talked a little bit about this of setting up what's going on in the first season, but also benchmarking for like, hey, this is still to come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They did it so
well.
Absolutely.
And them ending up in different time periods. Like
the cliffhanger.
This next season is like I have no idea what's gonna happen. Like there's usually I can like watch an ending or watch an episode and be like, all right, I know what's going to happen next. This is one of the first times I'm stumped. Like, I don't know what
we always nerd out like outside of the podcast. As soon as we finish watching something, he texts me immediately.
Yeah.
So much to the fact that he actually spoiled something once.
Oh no.
We were watching Acolyte. Oh, and he tells me he watched the first episode or 2, the first 2 that dropped.
Yeah.
And then he says something about like, dude, I haven't got to it yet. And it was a big thing.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. He's like, "Oh, so sorry." I'm like, "I told you I did." He goes, "I thought you said you did."
It was about a
man.
character dying.
Yeah. So we usually always geek out immediately after we're done watching before we film. And he's always got like, "Dude, this is coming. I bet this is going to happen." X-Men, he's like, "I got nothing for you."
Yeah.
He goes,
I got nothing. I love that.
"I don't know. I have no clue."
This is the first time I just threw the pen and paper up. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, "I just know apocalypse is coming, and that's about it."
And the X-Men about to get wrecked.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's quickly do a little bit of trivia, true or false, to wrap up the show. You guys happy for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm gonna chuck a piece of trivia here, and you just have to tell me if you think it's true or false. This is all IMDb, so it could be utter nonsense, but it's a lot of fun to talk about.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
Kevin Feige greenlit this show on one condition, and the one condition was they kept the original theme tune from the 90s TV show. Is that true or is that false?
I'm going to say true. I feel like that's something Kevin would do.
Okay.
I'm going to say false because I don't think that was ever in discussion to not have it.
That's a valid point.
I like that. Now, it's false, but it's actually two conditions. So the first condition was that they brought back as much of the original X-Men voice cast as they possibly
That
could.
was part of his
and keep the theme.
Wow.
Those were apparently his two conditions. I love that. That's so cool.
Absolutely.
Why? Yeah. Why would who was opposed to that? Who's like, no, I want to change
Well,
up
no, obviously.
the most
obviously no.
iconic
Sure.
theme song arguably ever. If you played, I could play that to my daughter who's never watched X-Men and she'd be like, "I think that sounds like X-Men."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so
Yeah,
recognizable.
nice. All right. Brilliant. All right, okay, let's do a couple more then. Trivia true, trivia false. Some of the characters' fight moves are recreated from specific video games, including Marvel characters. Is that true or is that false?
That's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
It is true. A lot of them come from Marvel vs. Capcom video
Correct.
games.
Hell
Have
yeah.
you guys ever played those?
I have.
Fuck yes.
I grew up playing it. There's a new one coming out soon.
I've broken many
Oh,
controllers
goddamn.
playing those games. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've never lost myself ever broken a controller.
No, I meant I'll just repeat it because that's like
the button?
mash and just
Oh my god.
you know what I mean? That's
yes.
just steady mash it. That's the
Button
I
masher?
just imagine you throwing it against the wall for a second there. I was like, holy shit, is he... How angry are you?
No. I'm talking about a full on just mashing like my circle button doesn't work, my A button doesn't work. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, two more then.
Okay.
Jennifer Hale has voiced Jean Grey / the Phoenix in at least 5 X-Men properties. Is that true or is that false?
Going false on this one.
Yeah.
I don't know of 5 other properties that has a voiceover of Jean Grey. Oh, there is a bunch of like spin-off X-Men shows. I'm still going false. I don't think it's 5.
I'll just to split it, I'll go true.
Love that. It is true.
Damn it.
She
Damn
was
you.
Jean Grey. She was Jean Grey in Wolverine in X-Men 2008, Marvel Anime in 2010, X-Men 2011, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and also Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 from 2011.
Oh, I didn't know we were counting video games.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of them are the same voices.
I just
true.
said properties.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
did.
Say, I didn't say it had to
Get
be
the
shows.
words on that one. All right. I got to watch out for
There
that
you
for
go.
this next
All
one.
right. Last one then. Finally, Alison Cott chose not to reprise her role as Jubilee, insisting that Chinese-American voice actors should voice the character. Is that true or is that false?
I
That
think
is
that's
true.
true. I think I read that.
Yeah, that is true.
That is true. The role went to Holly Chu, and I love that about this. It's that inclusivity of the show really shining through.
Tip of the hat to that actress, because that could have been an easy
Completely.
paycheck for me, but she's like, no, I want to keep this true to like that race and that culture. Like
100%.
that's beautiful for like round of applause for her. Absolutely.
Yeah. Give her a round of applause.
Yeah.
And I think she knew her legacy was already cemented with how popular it did before.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think there was ever like
Yeah.
an ego trip for her. She was like, you know what? Let's give somebody else their shine.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, just pay tribute to the.
And I don't know if they did this, but they should have. It would have been nice if they'd have brought her in and done another role somewhere else, just something different that was more aligned to.
yeah.
I would have thought it would be
That would
cool
have been
to
nice.
have her in the what was it, the episode where she goes into the video game
Oh, the Mojo.
Mojo, where
Oh,
she
yeah,
played
that
where
would've
she
been cool.
played the CPU one.
Ah, that would have made sense. Yeah. That's a cool thing as well. That's got to come through soon as well.
Yeah, that'd have been dope to play the CPU one.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. They could have called her for
I
that.
like that. Look, ultimately, this is probably one of the best animated shows I think I've seen in a long, long time.
It's for me. I haven't seen one better.
Yes, hits all the beats, brings back a load of the original cast, brings back that theme tune. It's got absolutely
Yeah.
everything. Gents,
Mhm.
I've appreciated you both joining me on this episode so much. Thank you so much for joining.
No, thank you.
Do you want to spruik your podcast one last time before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, but just real quick, thanks you for having us on, man. We really appreciate that. We love filming ourselves, but if we can, talk to other fellow nerds or just talk to other podcasters, we jump at the chance, and we just want to thank you and
love it.
Cheers to you, what you're doing, man. That your podcast is awesome.
Yeah.
You guys do a great job there. We thoroughly enjoy it.
Too kind.
But yeah, we are Till the End of the Line podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram.
Yep.
We're not too big on the audio only, just because, as you said, we put so much into this. We want people to see it.
Of course.
So,
Why wouldn't you?
But yeah, so you guys can find us there, and we greatly appreciate just the new audience with you, and we would love to have you on one of our episodes. So next time there's a project coming up that you
Amazing.
are passionate about, we would absolutely love to have you on and introduce you to our audience for sure.
And keep the memes flowing as well. One of the things we've definitely bonded over has been the sheer volume of nerd memes. I absolutely love that. I appreciate you both for that.
That will never stop. Absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're stuck in that now.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to block us.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be no blockage here, gents. It's
Right,
too good. Appreciate you both. Guys, thanks for sticking with the podcast. Find both Kike and Juan everywhere you can. Instagram, YouTube. Give them likes, give them subscribes, give them 5 stars. They absolutely deserve it. Their podcast's awesome. And while you're there, feel free to give us a 5-star as well. We would love it if you do. It helps with algorithms, things we really don't understand, let's be quite honest. And a big thank you to Mr. Matthew Bliss of blissery.fm for mastering this week's episode. If you want Matt to be part of your podcasting team, get in touch at business@mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about his services. If you want to hear his work, listen to Coffee with a Podcaster, which is super wholesome content. If you guys ever fancy listening to sort of 10-minute thought pieces about what it is to be a podcaster, go check it out. I think you'll really like it. It's a really fantastic little podcast. Likewise, you can find us at Podcast Assemble Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Thank you both for joining me. I've appreciated you both so much. It's been fantastic. I've had a wonderful time, and I can't wait for the next crossover.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Likewise.
Thanks, gents.